Cat Stanley Space Demons coming at you, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite things, the television series Seinfeld. Now, Seinfeld debuted in the summer of 1989 as an NBC special called The Seinfeld Chronicles. Returned the following spring for a limited run. It slowly built up an audience, and originally the show, which wasn't your typical sitcom, centered around the relationship between George and Jerry, their conversations, that great Larry David dialogue. The situations were more reality-based, things that could happen to you in regular life. A lot of the situations were even ripped directly from Larry David's own life. Of course, Larry David, the co-creator, producer, and writer, along with Jerry Seinfeld. But as the show wore on, the situations began to get more slapstick, the comedy much more broad and wacky, to the point where by the end of the series, things were bordering on surrealism and just totally over the top. And a lot of that reality-based comedy was out the window. Things got so off the beaten track from the original premise that even Jason Alexander, who played George Costanza, would become dismayed at the direction of his George Costanza character, feeling like it really went off the beaten path from it was original creation. But today I want to talk about the character of Kramer, as played by Michael Richards. Originally, Kramer was envisioned as just a wacky neighbor, seen occasionally in some of those early classic episodes, like the Chinese restaurant. Kramer didn't even make an appearance. It was basically just a bit role. The show focused around George and Jerry and Elaine. And then later on, as Seinfeld fans would know, that Kramer character would evolve to be one of the most iconic slapstick characters in comedy history. And today I want to talk to you about how Michael Richards turned that character from being an occasional wacky neighbor who turned up every now and again to the slapstick icon that he became. It wasn't until episode 12, an episode entitled The Revenge, where the Kramer character, as we would become to know him and love him, was born. Michael Richards recently came out with a memoir called Entrances and Exits, about his life on Seinfeld and his life in general. Talks a lot about the character. He went on the Rich Eisen show to promote the book, and he went into his story about how Kramer went from being that occasional character of the neighbor to really delving into the physical comedy that he would be known for later on.
When I first came into physical comedy, Larry had written a big speech for me, which usually goes to Jason or Julia. I said to Larry, why come into the room and talk about what I just did? Why don't we shoot what I did? And this was when I went into a laundromat and put powdered cement in a washing machine to get revenge. Rather than come in and I'll tell you, I did this, and boy, I put the powder in the washing machine. I said, let me do it. And the director at the time thought, we're not going to have time to do that. And then Jerry says, no, let's do it. We'll do it as a playback. So they let me set the scene up and do this physical comedy, and it went over well. It worked. And from then on, I think that was the beginning where we started to look at Kramer now doing physical comedy on the show. That was very important to me. Rather than just saying funny, I wanted to do funny. I have the means for it, my body and what I am into. Physical comedy is just making people laugh through your body's funny.
Right. So there you have it. That's how Kramer was born. Hope you dug the video, and we'll see you next time.
Who's here?